Hey, just this week, I just got this 6 pound award in the mail for all the sales that I made on ClickBank in 2023. Sold over 350 thousand in revenue on the platform to get me in the top 1% of ClickBank for a company called Metabolic. And not surprisingly, this has been an award that we've received kind of year after year. So I want to share a little bit more about the secrets of what is behind this award and our ability to kind of get it year after year. And one surprising thing at the end of that as well that you wouldn't even suspect that kind of a lesson learned, especially if you got a low ticket funnel for you making low ticket sales to be aware of, kind of a fatal flaw that I went through to really think about as you have these things set up. So sharing some of the secrets, the secret sauce in terms of being really great at low ticket and selling those low ticket sales, everything from $1 to a couple $100, and how you can translate that to other parts of your business and not just depend on some of those low ticket sales as well. So if this is the first time joining one of my lives, I'm Brian Czekanski, and I help companies monetize a lot of their low ticket buyers into high ticket sales. So one of the things that, as I ventured into the high ticket sales space, especially more recently, to do that, you have to take a lot of the lessons learned and all the things that are working from a low ticket perspective. So there is a lot of translation. If you're going from selling something that's $100 or $10 or whatever it is, even as you go up and sell something that's 10K, 20K, 50K, a lot of those key tenants continue to translate. It's just a different type of buyer. It's a different type of transaction. But the good thing that, as I think about it as well, is like even at a low ticket perspective and a high ticket perspective, either way, I'm not using sales calls. So that kind of blows people's mind, especially when I tell them that. I can have a conversation with people, especially at the high ticket perspective, even if we go up to 50K in terms of that offer price, I can close them via email. And it's going to go through. And again, a lot of these lessons learned from a low ticket perspective are going to translate, and I'll share from a high ticket perspective as well. They're super important to recognize. So again, got this thing's 6 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. Should probably do some workouts with it, but I think very reflective of the time, effort, and testing that my team did over at a company called Metabolic. A lot of people know it as Natural Health Sherpa in the past. So just want to share a couple different things, especially if you're selling something low ticket to your audience, especially via email. A couple different things that helped translate and helped with my approach, especially in getting to know the audience, translating that into low ticket success. So a lot of times we were selling, like a $49, $59, $69 supplement or info product or book, whatever it is. Those were the kind of things that led to that award and led to those low ticket sales. On an annual basis, we're doing several million in terms of those low ticket buyers. So a lot of like 3 to 5 million in terms of that overall gross revenue. Very profitable again because it was from an email perspective. So we're talking several million in profits accruing to the company as well. So just want to walk you through a couple different lessons. So the first lesson is just really getting into the mind of your audience, getting a sense of who they are, what they care about, what outcomes they're looking for. And that's going to really help you kind of connect the dots between your low ticket offer and what outcome they're looking for, and kind of meeting them where they are, what are their problems, and thinking about that. So for the email list that I was going after at Metabolic, our front end offer was kind of an info product helping them lose weight. Is mainly to women, 95% women, kind of in that 45 to 60 range. So as I got into interviews with them, as I got into digging into like what are those problems that make them buy the most, the number one thing that kind of pointed out and I kind of keyed in on, and we kind of tested into this as well, is the one thing that we could always point to is that they hated the most was their belly fat. So again, what is that one thing that you can tangibly point to for your audience that they hate the most? That is going to make them, if they can get that solved, that's going to ring the register in terms of revenue, low ticket buyers every time. So you got to figure out like, okay, like what's that one tangible thing you can point to, whether it's in the mirror or anywhere else, that you can tell them we can get this solved, we can reverse this problem, whatever it is, get to that root cause, all those kind of things. I would say like they did have other issues that they're dealing with, things like low energy, brain fog, sleep, all those kind of things. But if it wasn't tied into their belly fat and their hate around their belly fat and the weight that just never seemed to go off, the register just didn't ring as much. So if I sold a product that was just focused on energy or just focused on sleep, we would not get anywhere near the volumes that we are looking for. So again, we have to make sure, like, one of the things I made sure to always have is like, is there a weight loss angle here? Is there a belly fat angle here? And if there wasn't, then I knew it wasn't going to do as well as I needed it to do to be in our constant broadcast emails, automations, all those kind of things. So knowing exactly and speaking to what your like what your audience is, like emotional hot button issue, that problem that they need to solve overnight tonight, the thing that is kind of like keeping them up at night, like you really have to understand that and test into that. And then it kind of brings me to lesson number two, is really getting to know, like, what is the specific audience that your specific language that your audience uses to describe their problem and describe the outcome that they're looking for. And again, we did a tremendous amount of testing to figure out, like, what are the specific words and phrases that really resonate with them? What are some of the metaphors or analogies that we can bring to life for some of those things? So, like, again, I would give you an example of, like, one of the phrases that we tested into that did really well is like, when your tummy hangs down like a half deflated balloon. So, like, just having that one sentence to kind of bring to life the fact that it's not only the fact that I've got a lot of belly fat, it's the fact that it hangs over my waistline, that it hangs down like a half deflated balloon, really creating a visual in that person's mind of just how embarrassing it is, how emotional it is, how frustrating it is that they can't get rid of this because they've tried all the dieting, they've tried all the exercising. All those kind of things are really important, and really understanding, like, again, beyond the language and everything else, like, what has their journey been up to this point? What have they tried? What do they hate about all those other approaches? And really introducing a new type of a new kind of being able to point the finger at, like, oh, you didn't consider this problem before as the root cause of your belly fat or weight problems or things like that. So our front end product was all about hormones. So again, if we can point to the fact that their hormones were imbalanced, and we had a program that helps them balance their hormones, and that's the key secret, and that's the first step that they need to take to start losing weight, that rang the register over and over again, because again, we've introduced a new problem. So anytime that I was bringing forward a new belly fat or weight loss solution or supplement or whatever those things, I wanted to make sure that we were introducing something that was kind of outside the norm. Because again, for a lot of my audience, they came to the table and thought they were doing everything right. And some of them were doing everything right in terms of eating right, exercising, and just things weren't working. Again, there was this kind of outside force that they didn't consider before, and introducing that outside force and then presenting that offer as kind of solving that unique angle, or solving those things, makes a huge difference in terms of getting those low ticket buyers over the line. And I would say, again, from a high ticket buyer perspective, where you're going to be a little bit more personalized, you're going to have that, more of that done for you type of solution. So bring that to a weight loss coach. You might have a lot more accountability, you might have a lot more support. But again, you have to describe why your high ticket type of program is going to get them results quicker, easier, faster than some of those other options out there. Otherwise, they're not going to spend that 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K to lose that weight, because they're going to think, okay, like, this is like everything else that I've tried before. So again, really recognizing everybody, like, for your audience, they probably speak the English language or whatever your native language is, but know that within that, they have specific words and phrases that they're using over and over and over again. So, like, one of the things that I would do, again, because most of my audience was a little bit older in the women's space, I subscribed to Women's World magazine and all the other magazines that I knew my audience was reading on a daily basis. And I would pick up on the certain phrases and words and everything else, all those little subheadlines on the cover pages, I would take as inspiration to test into different things along the way. So again, testing is split testing your stuff and getting a sense of like some of the wins and failings. Even when a split test wouldn't work for me, I had great learnings to figure out, like, okay, like, what's that next step? What's that next thing that I need to try here to ring the register and get more low ticket buyers through the door? So that's lesson number two. Again, lesson number one is just all about figuring out like, okay, how can you meet your audience where they are? What's that hot button issue that will ring the register? And what should all your low ticket offerings be associated with? Second one is really learning like what is their language? What are the words and phrases on how they describe the problem, and importantly, where they want to go. What are those outcomes that they want the most? They probably don't want to just lose weight. They probably want to lose weight for a reason, whether it's keeping up with their grandkids or um, any number of reasons. So getting an idea of like what are those situations, what are the trigger moments where they really want to get to. And then the third thing is just really thinking about, especially if you're running a low ticket funnel, if you're running low ticket sales, there's plenty of examples where that can do really well for your business. And again, in the case of Metabolic Natural Health Sherpa, the company I work for, we got up to 8 figures in revenue. In terms of what we were doing, just selling products that were sub $100 in terms of revenue, and we just did that so many times. We rang up so many, brought in so many new buyers, rang up so many new transactions. We cross-sold other low ticket buyers along the way. But I can say, like one thing, the one thing is right now is Metabolic Natural Health Sherpa. It doesn't exist as a company. So one of the fatal flaws of a low ticket funnel is it can only take you so far. And this is, again, it kind of brings me to the mission and the focus that I have now. And one of the lessons learned that I had for working for this company is like one of those things where if you see a problem up close, you start to see it everywhere else. And that's what I see as well. Like it's perfectly fine to have a low ticket funnel to scale that up to do really well. But at some point you have to think about that pool of low ticket buyers that you have put together and start to think about how can we monetize them into high ticket buyers? How can we take them from a $37 product to a 5K product, a 10K product, a 20K product? And especially in the health space, like the problem is that, a lot of people struggle with creating these high ticket offers at scale. It's like one of the things that if you don't have your own high ticket offering right now, think about, who are the other providers in the space? Who are the other offer owners in the space from a high ticket perspective that have maybe already have the team set up? Like this is not something you have to create from scratch. So again, in the same space that we were doing affiliate sales from a low ticket perspective, you can do the same from a high ticket perspective if you can get the numbers right as well. So it might be just bringing in some other being an affiliate for another high ticket program and selling some of their stuff to get a sense of like what your audience really resonates with. And that doesn't mean that you can't create your own high ticket program over time, but to lower the risk and to lower the risk of hiring all these people and putting all this investment in building a high ticket program that your audience might not resonate with. It's a fair place to start with. Like, okay, let's test some other people's offerings. Let's see how many times we can ring the register in terms of a 10K, 20K, 50K program to get them there. And let's see if this has traction. If it does, okay, we can start to build our own program, get some better margins that way, and do it in that space. So again, think about, I got this award today. The funny part is, again, this company, I got this for work in last year, but this company doesn't exist anymore. And it comes down to like, okay, like you can certainly do well from a low ticket perspective, ringing in the register for that, but really think about like, okay, like how do we start to monetize these buyers? Because again, if they're just people being stored on your database and at some point they kind of fall off the cliff of that monetization. So they might buy a $37 product a few weeks ago, but typically after a few weeks or maybe in a month or things like that, they're going to fall off in terms of the probability of them potentially buying more. And if they're just buying more low ticket offerings that you have out there, that can certainly raise the lifetime value. But you want to think a little bit more, especially if you're trying to scale your company. How can we monetize them with higher ticket type of offerings? How can we at least put that in front of them? And again, this is something that I do, again, from the lessons learned of working for Metabolic and Natural Health Sherpa. Like, okay, I have, I've shown the ability, especially even before I joined that company, to be able to sell to these low ticket buyers. And I'm taking the same basic tenets and I'm doing it from a high ticket perspective. Again, doing it via email and chat, just selling 5K programs, 10K programs, 15K programs and above, just by having an email conversation with somebody back and forth and really using those same tenets that I talked about, really getting a sense for, okay, first, like, let's meet this person where they are. Let's ask a few questions of them and figure out like, okay, what are they dealing with right now? How would they describe that? that problem that they're dealing with in their own language. So again, this is the key things that I'm using from a high ticket perspective as well. Like I am using their exact words and echoing it back to them in terms of the outcomes they're dealing with, the problems. Using that validation, using that empathy is a huge part of that. Not only works from a low ticket perspective, but even more important from a high ticket perspective. And then really personalizing that offer, making sure that it lines up. If it doesn't line up, you're probably not going to get them over the line. Certainly not going to get them there from an email conversation as I go through. So something that is super like important to me, especially from a high ticket perspective, making sure that, especially with a 10K, 20K, 50K offer, we want to be really specific in the audience that we're going after. And that offer really lines up with the outcomes that they're looking for, speaks to the problems that they're dealing with, and gets them there easier, faster, quicker than any other alternative. And if anything, can talk about how all those other alternatives are flawed and how this offer has been built to take advantage of all those things that are not like holding everybody else back. So kind of works across the various different industries. So in terms of these lessons, hit that like button on whatever platform you're looking at right now. If you're on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. Always coming up with content probably 3 to 5 times every single week around the same time. So talking about low ticket sales, high ticket sales, and certainly sharing some of the lessons learned and what's working and what isn't within my space. So check out that, and drop me a comment below in terms of like what's working for you, especially if you're selling low ticket, thinking about integrating some higher ticket offerings into your email list or company, or selling to your audience. Let me know how that's going and what has worked well and some of the lessons learned that you've had along the way. And with that, I'll see you on a future live.